When I walked across that stage, hearing my name echo in the auditorium, I told myself I wouldn't look for them. But I did. I always did. And just like every other important moment in my life, my family wasn't there. What I didn't know that day was that missing my graduation wasn't the worst thing they would do. 3 weeks later, I would learn something I never imagined. They had opened credit cards in my name, and somehow still found a way to blame me for it. This is the story of how I finally learned that choosing peace sometimes means choosing distance, and how the quiet that comes after setting boundaries is loud enough to change your whole life. My name is Camila, and I grew up believing that family always came first. Not because they told me that, but because I learned it from watching my mother. My mother, Linda, was the kind of woman who moved through life with a loud certainty. She wasn't gentle, but she wasn't cruel either. She was practical, in a way that left very little room for softness. My father, Mark, was quieter. He worked long hours at an auto shop, came home tired, and stayed out of arguments whenever he could. Sometimes I wondered if he avoided speaking because he didn't want to take sides, or because choosing a side would have changed our whole house. And then there was my little sister, Avery, 5 years younger, and born into a different version of our family. The softer version. The version where money magically appeared for dance classes, birthday parties, school trips, and every little whim she had. I don't remember being jealous. Instead, I remember trying to be someone who didn't need as much, someone who could make life easier for everyone. So I worked. At first, babysitting, then at a grocery store, then at a coffee shop every morning before school. I used to think I was helping. I used to think helping made me good. But when I look back now, I think maybe it just made me useful. I worked my way through college, 2 jobs, night classes, long commutes, and cheap meals. When I was accepted into a graduate program for data analytics, I cried so hard I had to sit down on the floor. I thought my parents would be proud. My mother's first words were, "Well, I hope you know how expensive that's going to be." But I still believed that maybe, later, she would understand. Maybe she would see the effort behind it all. By the time graduation came around, I imagined seeing them in the front row. I imagined my mother standing up to take a picture, my father smiling his quiet smile, my sister cheering with the confidence only teenagers have. I imagined it all so clearly that it felt real. The day before the ceremony, I texted them the details. I didn't ask if they'd come. I simply assumed they would. But the morning of the graduation, my phone stayed silent. No, good luck. No, we're on our way. Nothing. I sat in the crowd of blue, gowns, staring at my hands, trying to swallow the tightness in my throat. When they called my name, Camilla Elaine Reed, Master of Data Analytics, my legs felt heavy standing up. I walked across the stage. The applause echoed. The lights were bright, but the seat where my family should have been was empty. I told myself it was fine. Adults don't need their families to clap for them. I'd survived worse things alone. But when I saw my classmates hugging their parents, taking pictures, crying, laughing, a small crack formed inside me. Just a little one. The kind that whispers, maybe you were never enough to begin with. 3 days after graduation, I finally heard from my mother. Not a call. Not a congratulations. A text. Plain, direct, and cold. Need $2,100 for Avery's Sweet 16. Send it today. No greeting, no question. Just an expectation. I stared at the screen for a long time. My savings account held just over $3,000. Money I had scraped together from tutoring and late-night cleaning shifts. A tiny voice inside me said, "You don't have to do this anymore." A louder voice said, "If you say no, they'll be disappointed." But something in me, something tired, something fragile, broke open. I sent her $1, just $1, and wrote, Congrats. I don't know why I did it. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't anger. It was the smallest act of rebellion, but it felt enormous. Later that night, I changed the locks on my apartment. I did it gently, quietly, not out of fear of them coming over, but out of fear of myself letting them in again. The new lock clicked into place, and I felt lighter, like a door inside me had closed, too. A few days later, while drinking coffee at my small kitchen table, I opened my credit report. I don't know what made me check it. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was the sudden silence from my parents. Whatever the reason, I froze when I saw it. 2 new credit cards, opened in my name. Both approved. Both using my parents' address. Thousands already charged. Event venue. DJ service. Dress boutiques. My hands shook. My breath felt thin. I clicked through transaction after transaction, feeling my chest tighten. Then I called the credit card company. The representative said gently, "This account was opened in person at our Littleton branch. Co-applicant, Linda M. Reed." For a moment, everything inside me stopped moving. They didn't just skip my graduation. They didn't just ask for money. They used my name, my identity, my future. I opened my phone and dialed my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring. "What now?" she said, as if I were the one causing problems. I kept my voice calm. "Mom, you opened credit cards in my name." "Why?" A small laugh left her. "Oh, please. I was helping you build credit. You should thank me. And Avery needed a nice party." "You forged my signature," I said quietly. Her tone sharpened. "Don't be dramatic, Camila. It's family money. You act like you're some stranger. Everything we do is for you." "No," I said, and I felt something settle inside me. "What I earn is mine. What you did was illegal." Her voice cracked with anger. "You wouldn't dare report us." "I already did." The silence that followed was heavy enough to feel through the phone. For the first time in my life, my mother had nothing to say. 2 officers came to my apartment later that week. Not because I had done anything wrong, but because my mother called them and told them I was acting erratically. When I opened the door, they looked around my clean apartment, my framed diploma, my laptop open with job applications, my coffee mug on the table. The older officer asked gently, "Are you okay? Your mother said she's worried." I smiled a small, tired smile. "I'm okay. I just set boundaries for the first time in my life." He nodded. "You'd be surprised how often this happens. When someone starts standing up for themselves, the people who benefited from their silence panic." Their report said, "No concern." I printed it and put it in a drawer. Not out of spite, but because it reminded me that reality was finally on my side. My parents asked to meet a few days later. A family talk. We met at a diner halfway between us. They came in together. My mother walked first, chin lifted. My father followed quietly. Avery kept tapping her phone. I didn't order food. I wasn't hungry. My mother complained about the drive and the cold coffee. I opened a folder and pushed the documents toward her. 2 credit cards under my name. These transactions. Your signature. Your address. She waved her hand like brushing away dust. "I told you. I did it for you. You owe this family. You wouldn't have anything without us." I felt something inside me soften, not with sadness, but clarity. They would never see me, never understand me, never love me the way I had hoped. "You didn't do it for me," I said slowly. "You did it because it was easy, and because you knew I'd clean up the mess." My father cleared his throat. "Let's not make this bigger than it is." "It is big," I said gently. "It's my name, my credit, my future." My mother's voice rose just a little. "You're ungrateful." I stood up. "No, I'm done." I walked out of that diner, feeling like each step was pulling me away from the version of myself I no longer wanted to be. I wasn't invited, but I knew the party was happening. I knew the dress Avery would wear. I knew the decorations my mother probably told everyone she paid for. At 8:45 p.m., my phone rang. A representative from the bank. "Miss Reed, we have escalated your fraud report. We'll be sending investigators to the event location tonight to verify the charges." Part of me wanted to stop them. Part of me felt guilty. But most of me felt tired. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't satisfaction. It was simply consequences catching up. Later, Avery texted me, "Police are here. Mom is panicking. What did you do?" I didn't answer. Some things don't need explanations. 3 days later, the bank confirmed it. Fraud investigation resolved. My mother admitted to signing my name. She agreed to repay the full amount. My father got a warning at his job because he'd used the company address for financial paperwork. Avery's party video, with the police walking in, spread around their community faster than wildfire. And I did nothing. I didn't fight. I didn't explain. I didn't apologize. I simply lived, quietly. I froze my credit. I cleaned up the mess. I kept going. It took time to heal. Some days I questioned everything. Some days I cried in the shower so no one would hear. Some nights I replayed the diner conversation in my head and wondered if I should have said something kinder, softer. But healing isn't loud. It's quiet work. 6 months later, I had a new job at a data lab, a small apartment that felt like safety. A group of coworkers who asked how my day was and meant it. A therapist who helped me understand that love should not feel like debt. On my wall, I hung 3 things: my diploma, the police report clearing me, and the receipt from the locksmith. Together, they told a story of breaking and rebuilding, a story of choosing myself. Sometimes family hurts you not because they hate you, but because they know you will forgive them, again and again, until you forget who you were before the forgiving. But the day you choose yourself, really choose yourself, you become someone new, someone stronger, someone softer, someone free. If you're listening to my story, and you've lived even a piece of this, just know you're not alone. There are many of us learning how to love ourselves in the quiet after the storm. Many of us finally brave enough to change the locks. Not on our doors, but on our hearts. And that kind of courage, the quiet kind, can change everything.